Hello everyone, Eureka Forsyth here, and today for this stream I will be talking about all the books that I read in 2023. Okay, let me get this started. Need to change my screen really quick. Okay, how do I do this? Give me a few seconds, please. Oh, okay. It's already set up like this. Okay. Let us begin. Let's make sure that this looks okay. Okay, it showed up. Alright, let me get my notes. So, the first book that I read is called Yuri is My Job by Mina. I think it was, yes, it was written and illustrated by Mina. So I will be reading the same thing that I wrote down on my co-host, because my thoughts have not changed since I have read those three books specifically. Yuri is My Job, Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion, and then finally The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend. So for Yuri is My Job, Hime Shiraki is roped into helping out at a role-playing cafe when she accidentally breaks the arm of the manager at said cafe. The cafe's waitresses all play as students enrolled in, forgive me if I botch this word, Lieb Girls Academy. I didn't think I'd like this as much since I feel like I'm at the age where high school-centric stories don't really appeal to me anymore, and there's often overdramatic melodrama that happens in these kinds of manga too. In the end though, the drama was actually really fun and juicy. I really enjoyed most of the girls' interactions for the most part. There were some parts that were a little bit much, but nothing to the point that it made me want to deduct a star for. If you enjoy the setting of all-girls schools in Yuri/GL manga but want none of the cheesy cliche baggage that may be found in those older works, this could be the thing for you. I'm interested in continuing this manga, but I won't lie that I do feel a bit intimidated by how many volumes are in this series. It also makes me think, what is gonna happen in the plot that can make it expand to 10 freaking volumes? I hope it's interesting enough to keep my attention whenever I decide to pick up the series again in the future. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. And next, I had this a little bit out of order, so the last book, The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend by Mieri Hiranishi. So I wrote, I've been on and off following this artist and reading snippets of comics. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Excuse me. And reading the snippets of comics she finally compiled into this manga on her Twitter account. So I was super excited when I found out it was going to be published into this collected volume. The Girl Who Can't Get a Girlfriend is an autobiographical manga about Mieri's personal life and her discovery of finding out she is romantically attracted to women. After breaking up with her girlfriend, Ash, Mieri is on a mission on trying to win her back, however possible. It's funny, sweet, heartbreaking, and moving. I would highly recommend it to those who enjoy LGBTQ plus reads with with realistic aspects to them. This is an especially This is an especially relatable read for those who identify as lesbian or sapphic. In the end, I rated this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Oh geez, oh boy, I forgot. I forgot to make one for. Okay, well, I'll just do this on the fly then. Oh, I'm so sorry for those who are looking forward to the slide for Why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's Mansion, Volume 1. But you can see the cover graphic that I used on my co-host if you want. So, Why Raeliana Ended Up at the Duke's Mansion was originally released as a Korean web novel by Milcha. Please correct me if I mispronounce the names here. A webtoon adaptation was then serialized in Kakao Page on September 3rd, 2017 and was illustrated by Whale. I think it's funny how different Eastern and Western interpretations of the isekai genre is. Usually in Western isekai, the main characters are whisked to a fantastical world where there's magic and adventure waiting for them. Not that it doesn't happen in Eastern iterations, but in Western isekai, it usually revolves around the characters entering the world through a portal or magic door. In Eastern isekai, the main character usually dies from a horrific accident that then transfers their body/soul into another person in another world. I don't think it's a spoiler to say that her main character here, Park Eunha, please correct me again if I mispronounce the protagonist's name, is forcibly pushed off the roof of a building for reasons unbeknownst to the reader in Volume 1. She is then transferred into a European-inspired world from one of her favorite novels, and now presently harbors in the body of Raeliana Macmillan? Yeah, Macmillan. Raeliana Macmillan, a meek young woman from a family of middling social status. The problem is that Raeliana is a minor character whose fate is to be a murder victim as the plot moves forward in the fantasy novel. I am not a fan of the isekai genre, but I thoroughly enjoyed this webtoon very much. I like how clever Eunha is while navigating how society works in the fantasy world of the novel. The other main character /love... what is going on today? Sorry. The other main character /love interest, Noah Winknight? Yeah, Noah Winknight is also very good. He is charming, interesting, and funny at times as well. There's juicy political intrigue, mystery, a fantasy take on a fictionalized period piece, and of course, the potential romance that will bloom between Raeliana, Eunha, and Noah. I'm excited to pick up the other volumes to find out the identity of the person who pushed Eunha in the real world and the intriguing development between Raeliana and all the other main characters in the cast. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, now we are back to the order that I read. Okay, I am trying to practice and do things on the fly, but sorry for the sudden ASMR. I'm trying to look for the notes that I wrote down for this. Okay, so give me a few seconds. Okay, so the third book? Yes. No. Wait, oh my gosh, I just realized I read the Raeliana book last year. Never mind. Okay, I made a mistake there. Sorry, everybody. This is actually the third book that I read in 2023. Okay, here we go. The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. So, this was definitely one of my most favorite, highest books that I read last year. And here are some of the notes that I wrote down. So I said that I really enjoyed the satirical tone within the novel, and it also goes over various issues within writing communities in a clever and nuanced way. It has over-the-top hijinks that ensue... oh my gosh. I should have wrote this a little bit better. Over-the-top hijinks ensue for the thriller aspect of the novel. It also explores really interesting dynamics of toxic friendships / relationships, and also particularly from a situationship standpoint between what is the main character's name? I forget. I'm really good at remembering the plot when I read stuff, but I don't remember people's names. Okay, so the main character that we follow is named Alex. They don't put down what her best friend's name is, so I'll just call her the best friend. Alex and her quote-unquote best friend's relationship slash situationship, that was very interesting to read from. It was also kind of funny to read some of the reviews that were put on Goodreads, and it was about people. It was funny seeing people get offended by the author just starting off the first chapter using the word fuck, and I'm just like, and they were just like, I was so close to DNFing the book just because she was talking with that kind of tone in the beginning. And I was just like, that's a really weird thing to be nitpicky about when you literally just read the first sentence in the beginning of the book. I'm just like, you're going to just drop the book just because of the character saying fuck? I'm just like, okay, well, you do you, I suppose. Also, the character of Rosa Vallow is very interesting. She's a very, how do I say it? A mercurial, very temperamental kind of character. And it was very interesting to meet and get to know a character with such a, not omnipresent, I don't think that's the right word, like a very larger than life kind of vibe to her. Also, this is sort of minor spoilers, so please mute or exit a little bit if you don't want to hear this. So I will start saying some minor spoilers now. I thought it was very interesting that it was a lot more raunchier than I initially expected. Oh my gosh, sorry. My voice is breaking a little bit. I was not expecting it to be as raunchy as it was for certain parts, but I enjoyed it. Those aspects were really interesting to read. It was like some of it was like kind of trippy and dreamlike, and I just really liked the way the author wrote those parts. For that section of the book, yes. And yeah, it also goes over some very problematic aspects within like writing communities, like for writers, and also I think some like audience feedback, not feedback, but audience, like the initial reactions to people's written works by the audience. And also touches a bit on how, like, especially in traditional publishing, how there's a lot of like it's not even like hidden, it's like whitewashed and like racist aspects to how especially people of color who are writers are treated, especially by white authors, of course. But yeah, it was very interesting and I loved it. It's I also thought before the book was like put out, I got the book of the month edition, so I got my copy a little bit early, and I remembered thinking at the time, I was like, this would be like the perfect book if it had some LGBTQ plus aspect to it. And I was just like whoa. And I was like really, really happy and satisfied with. There's not, of course there's no like relationship that is like established, of course, but that doesn't deter me from enjoying a book, of course. You don't have to follow a relationship to label a book as such. But yeah, I was very I don't, yeah, that's not a spoiler. That is something that met my expectations for this book. So yeah, if you enjoy books that are about writers, talking about writers and the craft of writing, and you enjoy mystery, um, mystery and thriller melded together, and also if you like settings that are like in a remote area, of course, because they stay at, yes, I think they stay at Rosa's mansion, not mansion, like villa. It's a big house. They stay at her house, and it's in a remote location in, I think, New York. You have to drive there and stuff. So that's also fun and exciting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. This was like one of my top reads from last year. And let us go forward to the next book. Sorry for all the paper shuffling. Hopefully that doesn't bother anybody too much. But yeah, the next book I read was She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat, Volume 2. And let me see. Did I write notes for that? Or I'll just go into it blind? Let me see. Nope, I guess I didn't have anything prepared. I will try to do my best to remember what this volume was about. Also, I'll just look at the story graph description to wake up my memory. This was a really good read. Oh my gosh, I forgot to say, I gave the writing retreat 5 out of 5 stars. Yeah, let's see. So we get to know more about Kasuga, actually, in this volume. We already know a little bit more about Nomoto's background. And I like that this volume was a little bit more serious. I enjoy slice of life manga, but I like when there are like serious issues or topics that are discussed. So it was nice to actually get to know what went on with like Kasuga's backstory and how her personality is the way it is in current times. And yeah, so of course there's a lot of good food parts. I love reading and looking at food in books. It's one of my favorite things. And it was just really nice. I like that it was a little bit more serious this time around. There's a little bit of a hint at meeting a new character. I don't know who she is, but I'm excited to meet her in the 3rd volume. I think the 3rd volume already came out some time ago. But yeah, nothing much else to really say that without like spoiling some plot within this volume. So I will leave it there. And I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. Oh my gosh, She Loves to Cook. I forgot to say the manga artist's name. She Loves to Cook, She Loves to Eat by Sakami Yuzaki. There we go. Alright, what is the next book? Alright. This was another book that I really enjoyed. Camp Zero by Michelle Min Sterling. So this is a book that is a sci-fi dystopian novel, and we follow the main character who is she has a code name. Her code name is Rose, and she is sent as a spy from one of few floating cities to see what's going on at the titular location, which this novel is named after, Camp Zero. And it follows her and several of the other ladies who she works with. We also follow two perspectives, which is Rose and a college professor named Grant, who comes from a rich, he's like a rich guy, I guess. Yeah, he's from a wealthy family. I didn't really enjoy his perspectives as much. I feel like personally we could have done without it, but it does give a little bit of some background into what is going on outside of the camp. Oh, the dogs are barking. But yeah, this was really good. I really, really liked how the author explored technology, especially the device called the Flick. That was super cool. I thought that was one of the most coolest aspects of the novel. It was really cool, just finding out what it was. It's like a thing that they put into, like, they literally put the thing into, like, it's like, where did they put it? I might be wrong, so don't quote me on this. I think like somewhere near their eye or something. It's like somewhere on the upper part of your head, and it's like, excuse me, and it's like a device where you're like, what is it called again? Altered reality, AR aspects, where you're like literally plugged into the internet, and you could look at things and search things up with just like thinking it, and then it will just automatically type it into like the search bar, and you can look at it in like real time, within yourself. So yeah, that I thought that was really cool. I remember listening to the episode where it's not, I don't think it's called Book of the Month, but Book of the Month does have a podcast where the hosts interview the authors. Let me look at it really quick. Okay, Virtual Book Tour. Yes, Virtual Book Tour, and they interviewed Michelle Min-Sterling, and that was a really eye-opening and very cool interview. I really liked how the hosts organized and asked the questions to the author, and I really, really, really loved all of the interesting and fascinating answers that Michelle Min-Sterling gave to the hosts. So yeah, if you enjoy listening to podcasts, definitely check out that episode. That was a really cool episode. And yeah, we follow Rose and her trying to find out like what is literally going on at this camp. And we also meet a famous architect who she regularly visits and I suppose services, if you find out what her actual role is. Well, the role that she has on the surface as to why she's at the camp in the first place. It's just really fascinating, and it's like set within, I forgot the exact, not too far into the future. So it's pretty recent. It's not happening now. It's like fairly recent in the future. So it feels very close to home. Like the concept of like all of the environmental stuff that is happening that creates the dystopian atmosphere in the novel feels like it could possibly really happen if we don't give care to take care of the earth to that point, which is devastating to read about, but that is why it is labeled as a dystopian novel. And yeah, this was super close to getting a 5-star from me, but I had to put it down a little bit less because I was just really thrown off by the last third of the novel. Of course, I won't get into spoiler details, but it just, the vibe that it gave off was totally different than how the first two thirds were. Like not the writing did not feel different. It was just the atmosphere just totally changed, and it just threw me in for a loop, and I just did not like it. I was disappointed. The ending was fine. It was okay. It was fine, but yeah, that part somewhere in the last third, I won't mention where for spoilers, of course. But yeah, that was just really odd. I'm not really sure why that was included. But that of course is just my opinion. Otherwise, I really enjoyed the exploration of how the how the environment will be uh in the next something odd years into the future, and also just like all of the things it just affects, like it greatly affects like everyday people, but of course it won't affect rich people, of course, because they're just enjoying their lives and living it out in the floating cities that are talked about pretty briefly within the novel. And if it's something I would like to say, I'm really excited to read more from this author, especially. um I would really like her to get into something that is like just full on horror, because this was initially labeled with like horror, but it got taken off, and I agree as well. But there are some horror aspects, more in the realistic kind of what is it? Realistic. Oh gosh, on the realistic spectrum of horror. So it's not like supernatural horror, it's like realistic horror. I would like her to write something that is just full on horror. I think that would be really cool with the style that she has. Maybe not as similar to the writing style in this book, perhaps, but I think it would be really great. And definitely more sci fi stuff, if she's, of course, interested in exploring more within the sci fi genre. This was just really good. It was like this book was like written in a very interesting, like clinical, cold, detached kind of style. But I really, really enjoyed it. It was a really cool writing style to read from. But yeah. Anyways, I gave this book 4.25 out of 5 stars. And then we go next to And Then There Were None. Okay. I drank a lot to like make sure my voice wasn't breaking, but it's still like somewhat breaking, and I need to go to the bathroom, so excuse me for a moment. Let me just change to this section here. I'll be back. Gotta take a quick bathroom break. Okay. Hello, I am back. Took a few sips of water, so hopefully my voice sounds a little bit more better. Yeah. Hello? Hello, Joseph. Thanks for tuning in to the stream, and hello to anybody else who is also within the chat too. Thank you for stopping by. I don't know what's going on with my throat. I thought my voice would sound a little bit better. Let me mute a little bit and take some more sips of water. Okay, hopefully I sound a little bit better. Hopefully. But yeah, it is oh my goodness, sorry. Let us go back and continue. I just realized I do not have, oh my gosh, oops, I do not have any music. Oh, thank you. Thank you for thank you. Nice. That's what I kind of want to design my streams to be. Like, you don't have to, it's nice of course if you want to watch it with your eyes, but also you can of course enjoy it while you do something such as chores, or like in your, well, probably not in your car. That's probably a little bit dangerous. Don't, please, especially if you want to watch it, do not watch. I guess you could listen to it in the car and on commute, etc. Okay. Oh my gosh, I was just talking. Oh my goodness. I should have prepared this better. I'm sorry, everybody. I just realized there's no okay, let me do this really quick actually. Adding a little bit of music in this section. Okay, how do I, okay, I haven't done this in a while. Oh geez. Okay, how do, I do not remember how to do this. Sources. Okay, add. Audio. Media file. This is really embarrassing. Okay. Let me add the music that I put in for my last stream. Oh god. Wait, the LuKremBo. I'll add the source. Okay, how do I do this? Oh god. Can I just... This is so scuffed. I'm so sorry, everybody. LuKremBo. Okay. LuKremBo. I can't hear anything though. Oh geez. Oh. Let's see how it goes. Let me go back. Huh. I should be able to hear it. Wait. Let me go and test it out. Yes, I should be able to... Okay. I did something wrong then. Okay. I'm trying to put in some music in the background so it doesn't just sound like dead air. Okay. I can't hear anything though. Okay. Then how did I do that? What was... Yes, this is media file. You can't hear... Huh. Okay. Okay, I am not sure. I will just leave it as it is. I'll try to fix it next time. Okay. Let me see. Must have did something wrong. Hey, just chatting music. Yeah, should be able to hear it. It's so weird. So, What am I doing? Hey, this. Okay, so where? Oh, you do? Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay. Then it should be fine. Yeah, I think it's at a good, appropriate volume. Okay, I don't hear it. I will see it when I look at the VOD later. Sorry about that, everybody. Let me bring my notes. I will probably fix that and get rid of it. But yeah, okay. I'm really sorry. Okay, the next book that I read is called And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I need to get my notes for this. I actually wrote a lot for this and where is it? Let's see. Alright, I have it. Cool. This was actually for a canceled video that I wanted to make. I won't say what it is for now, just in case if I want to do something similar to this in the future. But yeah, for now it's a currently canceled video, but oh my goodness, excuse me. I couldn't even find the cover that I initially had. It's like, it was a cover for like a super old game board. Not game board, oh my god, a board game. I'm not sure if you can purchase it still. I feel like you can't. It's just that old. So I just used this as the cover. But yeah. Let's see what I wrote. So this is what I had. This was part of the script that I had for And Then There Were None. And Then There Were None is a murder mystery novel about 10 unrelated guests who are invited to an island for unknown reasons. None of the guests know each other yet. They are all invited under the guise of promised opportunities and reunions, enclosed in letters. I was barely 5 pages into the book, and there was already a bunch of racist and discriminatory content that was mentioned at the start. I also wanted to look up some background info about this book as well, and was horrified by finding out that And Then There Were None is not the original title of this book, but a title that is incredibly racist. I do not feel comfortable mentioning the name, so if you really want to know what the original title of the book is, you can easily look it up through your search engine of choice. I knew then that I couldn't give this book any higher than a 3 and point whatever stars, even at the very beginning. 4 and 5 star ratings for me are for books that I really enjoyed, and even with the last third of the book turning out to be very exciting, I just couldn't go out of the 3-star range because of all the outdated things this book contains. I understand that Agatha Christie is one of the more world-renowned progenitors of the mystery genre. Her works are definitely something that should still be read and studied, but on the other hand, you cannot glaze over the fact that there is a lot of outdated and also, more importantly, problematic content that is featured in a lot of her novels as well. I think it's interesting to see a resurgence of movies adapting some of her more popular mystery novels, the latest one being A Haunting in Venice. And Then There Were None is written in a very straightforward style. We get a brief introduction to all the main characters within the cast, and we quickly move to, in the outdated version of the book that I own, to Indian Island. I think in more modernized versions of the book, it's called Soldier Island instead. Things move pretty quickly, and we soon get a feel for the main characters on how they interact with one another on the island. With that in mind, I will share my thoughts on what I think of the cast within the book. In all honesty, I had a hard time remembering who was who, especially when it comes to the male characters in And Then There Were None. Anthony James Marston. Martson. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This man is an absolute abhorrent human being. I absolutely despise him, and I don't care. He got his just desserts. The man does not abide by the speed limit, runs over 2 kids, and goes on his merry day like nothing happened. Yeah, no, you're going to hell, buddy. Mrs. Ethel Rogers. She seemed like a quiet woman from what we know. I don't have many opinions about Mrs. Rogers since she is one of the first victims found in the beginning of the book. Sorry, spoiler alert. Not really a spoiler because it happens pretty much in the beginning. General John Gordon MacArthur. I felt pretty indifferent towards MacArthur as a character until I found out what he did for his crime later on. His wife was having an affair with a soldier who coincidentally was in the same squadron he was in charge of. Oh, I would like to preface, I'm sorry, this one is also full of spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled by this book, maybe skip this section for my review for And Then There Were None. Sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. Back to what I was saying. He had knowledge that the area he was to send a troop to had an unlikely chance for survival. And, oh geez, this is not the right person. Oh my gosh, I totally missed a guy. Wait, what? This might be totally wrong. No, this is... Oh geez. I gave him the wrong name. This is what I said. I don't remember most of the male characters because they just all like melded together. MacArthur? I put down Wargrave for some reason. Whoops. MacArthur decided to send this man specifically on this doomed expedition. Predictably, the man did not make it after he was deployed on this mission. His wife received the news that her secret lover had perished during his deployment, and she became a husk of the person she used to be before dying of assumed heartbreak. MacArthur realizes his mistake and descends into an almost comatose state of mumbling nonsense and making vague statements regarding his regrets towards his crime. I thought he was a pitiful, sad man and didn't really feel much when it came to him getting cut from the cast later on. Next we have Tom Rogers. I thought he seemed like a caring old man, and I felt bad he had to pick up all the pieces and take care of all of the other cast as the characters began to be picked off one by one. But when you discover what he and his wife had done to one of their shared clients, I am less sympathetic to Thomas. Emily Caroline Brent. I did not like this lady at all. At first, I felt indifferent towards her. She just seemed like a cold person, and then when you find out what crime she'd done, especially how she treated the young maidservant in her employment, I honestly don't feel bad when she dies in the book. I didn't realize it at first, but I thought it was clever how her death occurs. She's all by herself, and before it happens, she is alone, just like the poor maidservant she abandoned prior to the events of the book. And then I had I have Lawrence John Wargrave, but I did not write anything for him. I'll look at the Wikipedia page really quick and then make my opinion for him later. Dr. Edward George Armstrong. I thought Dr. Armstrong was one of the more memorable male characters in my opinion. I think almost every classic mystery has a health or forensic expert within the cast. His personality was interesting and even a bit charming at times. Aside from his crime, of course, the only other thing I have a gripe about is that he slaps Vera when she begins to have what seems to be the start of a panic attack when Mr. Rogers is found. Slapping anyone in the face as a way to calm them down is not cool, Dr. Armstrong. I'm glad that kind of occurrence is more of an old media thing now and not so prevalently used recently in modern literature or in media in general. That's just a terrible gag that people used to do back then for visual media stuff. Anyway, moving on. William Henry Bloor. I don't remember much of Bloor at all, minus what he did for his crime. I think his death was the most funniest and dramatic out of all of the characters. What a way to go out. What a way to go out. A literal Tom and Jerry-esque death. Permanent blunt force trauma by a bear-shaped clock. And that's all I had to say about that guy. Philip Lombard. They call him a soldier of fortune, but that's literally just a fancy title that means he's a mercenary for hire. Or I suppose you can call him an assassin. He absolutely got what was coming for him with the crime he committed, which is perjuring evidence that landed an innocent man with a life sentence in jail, which the man then also died. I think it's kind of funny and ironic that he gets done in with a gunshot by Vera. You'd think a seasoned merc would have the added combo of quick thinking and reflexes to disarm a weapon off an inexperienced civilian, or at least dodge away from a blow or a shot. Although I'll give him credit that he seemed to be really caught off guard with Vera's trick. Vera, whatever. I'll just use those two versions of her name interchangeably. Vera's trick. That's all I have for that guy. Isaac Morris. I don't think we know about this man, minus a little intro about him in the beginning of the book, and then during the reveal at the end. I don't really have much to say about this character, minus that he is clearly a scumbag. And my favorite character, Vera Elizabeth Claythorne. Also a pretty cool last name, Claythorne. Vera is probably my favorite character within the cast, even though objectively she is also one of the characters with the worst crimes attached to them. I personally don't think it's one of the worst crimes, but maybe I'm biased because Vera is probably my favorite character. That's all I had for her. I just like that she was, this is going not off the notes, so I'm just trying to do this off the top of my head. I liked her because she was, of course, one of the few female characters present. And I just like that she just seemed like a pretty kind person before, of course, you find out what her crime is. Yeah. Of course, Agatha Christie had to add in the stereotypical, like, what is it? Female hysteria bit with her, but I still like her, even though Christie tries to paint her as, like, being nonsensical and not using her common sense. But I mean, if you are also in a situation where the guests are getting picked off by an unknown killer, I think it's, oh my gosh, sorry, I think that was my stomach. I think it's not illogical to panic a little or a lot even, because that's just a really scary situation to be into. So if you're a person that says, like, I wish she didn't act like that, I wish she didn't panic so much, like, I feel like you would probably be panicking too if you were in that situation. So give that poor lady a break. Let's see. So yes, the reader finds out by the end of the book that all of the main characters are morally bad people. I like that we are led to believe that some of these characters may be redeemable, but I was going to say a quote here, but I don't really like this book that much in the end, so I don't really care that I forgot to put the quote here in the end. Let's see. Alright. I lost my spot. Here we go. The pacing is pretty good throughout the book, but it goes especially fast by the end of the book. The last third of And Then There Were None was definitely the most enjoyable for me. I also really enjoyed the aspect of the vacation home they were staying at to be described multiple times as an up-to-date modern house. The book even pokes fun at the concept of these kinds of scenarios happening at old, crumbling, gothic-esque mansions, so it adds a layer of intrigue and curiosity for the reader to find out who the actual culprit is within the cast. Since the theory of it being an unknown hidden party member is immediately quashed. Wait, I forgot to read about, let's see, Lawrence John Wargrave. Okay, let me go and look at the Wikipedia page. Oh my gosh, sorry, my voice is cracking. Let's see. And Then There Were None. He was, if I remember correctly, the lawyer, I think, off the top of my head. Let me see. What was his crime? Improperly influenced a jury. What? Wait, what? Oh, wait, they both had similar crimes. Okay, he and Henry Bloor had kind of the same crime. Improperly influenced a jury to bring in a guilty verdict against a man many thought to be innocent, then sentenced him to death. I'm just looking at this. This is not my work. This was on the Wikipedia. His death? I just thought he was really full of himself. That's what I remember. And, what is it? He just had a very pompous, conceited attitude. Like, he knew everything that was going on and stuff. So, I think if I remember correctly, I didn't really like him that much. And yeah. Spoiler alert as well, but all of this review is pretty spoilery. I'll try my best not to put spoilery reviews in the future. Unless people like that sort of thing, then I'll just put, just say in the beginning, like, spoiler alert, so people can mute and exit if they wish. But yeah, he is the one that, I guess it was interesting by what he was doing. He was like the mastermind behind everything. And he kind of like orchestrated everything because he was just like, okay, all of you guys are morally corrupt, so it's a free-for-all. So just take each other out, and all of that. And then he had a fake out death, which was him. It was like kind of like he made like a mockery of himself, which was super interesting. So he was dressed as a judge, and he I don't even know how he did it. He made it seem like he had a gunshot wound to the head, and then they take him and put him in like a spare room somewhere, and then he's like still alive and like moving around and stuff. And then the last one, what did he do? It was like a really weird, complicated way that he took himself out of the living world. I want to make sure I don't accidentally say something that YouTube will be like, you're not allowed to say that. But yeah, I remember like there's like the evidence of like the glove. Like he had the weapon that he chose, and then he uses a glove to like hide his fingerprints, but then they're going to just find the glove on the ground because I don't know, it was weird. I suppose you're not supposed to think too hard about the logistics of how he tries to get out scot-free, I suppose, from the world of the living to the world of the not living, I suppose. But yes, yeah, that is what I thought of him, and I will continue into the last part of this review. Okay, let me go back to my slides. Okay. Okay, and here is the last part. If you want to read something similar to the vibe of And Then There Were None, I'd suggest One by One by Ruth Ware and Yukito Ayatsuji's The Decagon House Murders. It was fun seeing all the references that were taken from And Then There Were None within both of these books, so that at least was a treat while I was reading the book that inspired the two mentioned above. If I had to pick which one I would prefer between these two novels, I'd recommend reading One by One, since I remember enjoying that book more and also gave it a higher rating than The Decagon House Murders. I gave And Then There Were None a 3.25 out of 5 rating. Okay, my voice is sounding a little bit hoarse, so I will just quickly take a drink. Okay, I think that's good. I sound a little bit better, hopefully. And let us go to the next book, which is Siren Queen by Neill. I have some notes for this. I don't have much to say for this book. Siren Queen is about oh my goodness. Let me go and make sure. I forgot her name. Luli, yes. About a young woman named Luli, and she wants to become a Hollywood actress. There's a little bit of some magical realism elements within this book, although that is something I will talk about as I go further. But yeah, it's she is a young lady who wants to become a Hollywood actress, but of course during that time she is not able to play like the roles that she wants to play. What is this? I wish I remembered what time period it was. I'm guessing I might be wrong, so please don't quote me on this. But 1950s, 1960s. It says it's pre-code Hollywood. So it's during that time. But yeah, onto the magic system, which is kind of funny to say and is ironic to say because it's unclear. It's very strange. The thing is I don't mind if the author does not describe a magic system to like all of the nitty-gritty details, but for some reason you don't really know how the magic works, and like I feel like in certain examples, I don't have any off the top of my head, but I think that could work within the world building or universe the story is in. But this, I feel like the magic should have been described more, because it really takes out the blow of like a really important reveal that happens pretty much near the end of the book, and then you get to that part in the book, I won't say where, but it's like close to the end, and then you're just like, what happened, because you're just like, okay, this happened, and you know in your head that it's supposed to be important, but the effect is just not there, and it just really confused me, because I was just like, I know this was supposed to be a very important part and reveal, but I don't feel anything. And like, and that's like a big problem, because like, you know, as the reader, like, oh, this was supposed to be important, but why do I not feel emotional, or like, or there's no reaction to it? So like, because the magic wasn't explained, the it wasn't a bit, it wasn't even a big build up. It just, bam, it just happened. Like, you don't even have like any way to like be ready for it. It just happens, and then the timing of it is also incredibly off, and you're just like, I see what you're trying to do, but it was not executed well. So that's what I have. That's a criticism I have of the magic system, if we could even call it that. What I did like about the story was that there were really nice sapphic moments. The main character is unapologetically, she loves women, and there were some really nice and intimate and steamy moments, and they were just really well written. Those parts I enjoyed, at the least. And then there was also the very, not the characterization, but like the journey. This book is quite short. It's 282 pages for the version I have. And it's very strange, because like, of course, I don't need to have like a character to be like lovable. I don't need to have a character be lovable for me to enjoy a book, because like, for example, Alex from The Writing Retreat, she is a very complex, complicated, and morally questionable person, but I still really enjoyed her characterization. She was a very interesting character to follow. But Luli is strange in that, like, you're supposed to be rooting for her, of course. Of course, that's not the same for all books, but for the most part, for like a character, you would like root for them, and it's just weird, because she has, like, I like conceited characters. Like, I like characters that have like a lot of self-confidence in themselves and are conceited and maybe blown out of proportion with their like ego and everything. Those are characters that are very interesting to follow, but it was a little bit weird to follow her specifically, because she's like, I want to be, she kind of had the attitude of, I want to be the best actress for like Asian actors or something of that note. I might be wrong on that. And like, that's fine and good, but like, it doesn't. And of course, there's like a lot of talk of like racial discrimination, of course, and uncomfortable moments between Luli and her manager. That was really uncomfortable to read. But like, it's like, yes, you want to root for her, but like, I felt like when she gets to sort of the point where I'm trying to say it in a way that it doesn't, I'm trying to say it in a way that makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's deserved, I suppose. Like, she even has, like, there's even a part within the story, I don't think that's really a spoiler. If it is, I'm sorry. Minor spoiler warning alert. But there's even a character, a minor character that talks, calls her out on her like high and mighty attitude, and says like, she's like, you think you want to be at the top, but like, you're still a newbie, and for you to have that sort of attitude, that's not going to help much, because like, you need to, from what I remember, like, you need to do way more work than our white counterparts, because that's just how it is in this alternate sort of historical book. And she's like saying like, hey, you're having an attitude, like you want to be the best, but like you're still on the bottom. Like she's not the actress isn't trying to like discourage her, but she's saying like, you're like, we all want to be on the top, but like you need to like earn your spot. Even so. And I was just like, yeah. That is a very deserved call out for Luli, because she just keeps thinking like, I am the best and I should be on top and I deserve to have this spot. And I'm just like, you're just starting out. Like you can't just think that way when you don't even have like the experience to like, I suppose, to act like that, I suppose. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry for the stunted words. It was just very odd. And then even when she got to the point where she's like, sorry, spoiler alert for the end as well, where she's just like, I'm so great and I'm a very beloved actress and I have all of this fame to me, and it was very strange because I was like, I don't know how to think about that. I don't think you really earned your spot, I suppose. So yeah, that's about it, I suppose. I think I'm just repeating myself. I'm sorry. That was a big thing of why I didn't really initially. I like half enjoyed and half did not enjoy this book. But yeah, let's move on. If you're interested in like Hollywood, olden Hollywood era books with like sort of like alternate history with unexplained magical realism, following a pretty unlikable main character, this could be the book for you. I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. You can't even see it, but I'm just like, I talk with my hands, so I'm sorry for like all the page rustling and stuff. I'm just like moving my hands around, like, even though you guys, not that, whoops, I'm sorry, you all can't hear it. I'm just like, do you understand what I'm trying to say? I hope so. I hope it isn't too convoluted. But anyway, let's move on to the next book. Alright. Excuse me. The next book that I read is House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. And boy oh boy. This was also part of the canceled video that I decided to leave off. There's also has spoilers, so if you do want to read this book, please mute until I'm finished, because the Agatha Christie and Then There Were None and this book were part of the same canceled video I was making. So sorry about that. Spoilers will start around now. Excuse me. The next book I read was House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. It is a gothic horror novel that is inspired by Elizabeth Bathory. I think I mispronounced that wrong, so I'm sorry. I will look to see how to actually pronounce her last name. But anyway, we follow the protagonist, Marion Shaw, an orphan who lives in the slums of the fictional city of Prain. She works as a scullery maid for a cold noblewoman named Lady Gertrude. Oh my gosh, my throat. Go back. Oh, interesting. Pre-code Hollywood would have probably referred to the Hays Code, which tried to censor indecent topics. Pre-code. Okay, oh my goodness, so that's even before the 1950s and 1960s. Wow, that is very far back. 1933, before 1933. Thank you. That's very helpful and useful. Thank you. Wow. So it was probably, yes, if I had to guess then, with what you said, Joseph, it would probably be somewhere around the 1920s. Interesting. Anyway, let me take a sip of water. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have tried to hydrate myself properly before I started this. It's gonna be a little bit embarrassing going back to reviewing this VOD, I'm sure. I don't know why. My voice just keeps on fluctuating like that. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so the next section I wrote is called Four Houses. There are important vampiric families in this universe who belong in units called houses. There are many houses that exist, but as of the current timeline within the book, the power these houses hold are steadily dwindling. Oh my gosh, my voice still does not sound how I want it to. Give me a few seconds. Okay, I think I sound a little bit better. Oh, I could probably just use this screen for now. That I made. I should have used the screen and then there were none as well. Oh well, that's okay. I'll use the screen then for the section. Yes. Let me see where I am. Okay. The four most notable houses that still hold a significant source of power, influence, renown, and clout are the House of Hunger, House of Fog, House of Mirrors, and House of Locusts. And then here we have more distinct spoilers for this section. So again, this whole review is spoiler filled, so if you don't want to hear what I have to say about the spoiler parts, please mute. So this part I called was... Oh man, I didn't even finish the whole thing. Oh well, I'll just like wing it when I come to the part that I didn't finish. I think there were 2 or 3 instances of Elizabeth love bombing Marion throughout the story. The one that sticks out the most to me is the one instance near the beginning of the book. Marion is confused but also reveling in the attention Elizabeth is giving her, but as she gets used to this newfound treatment, Elizabeth retracts her open affections towards Marion and begins calling for the twins instead to come to her in her private chambers. I can't remember the other 2 instances off the top of my head, so I will just leave that part here. But yeah, that's like pretty textbook example of the concept of love bombing, which is giving a lot of affection and so-called quote-unquote love to a person, but then suddenly you take yourself out of that, and that doesn't make sense. I'll just use what I said before. She like retracts that affection that you give to somebody, and then you the person who was giving the affection towards the receiver then acts in a suddenly cold or distant manner, which obviously confuses the recipient of the former affections that were previously doled out to them. Yeah, but it's like it's a manipulation tactic people do in unstable, usually romantic relationships. Yes. Moving on, I have the section called Natural Aphrodisiacs. So, one of the things I really enjoyed about House of Hunger was little details that made the world seem just all the more immersive and real. One of these things is the food that the bloodmaids eat. Oysters and figs, for example. What do these two unrelated foods have in common? Both of them are natural aphrodisiacs, foods that help boost one's libido. Chocolate is often mentioned as well, and the women mostly eat this in the form of various sweets, usually cakes. Dark chocolate is indeed a food that helps improve blood flow and also lowers blood pressure. That was a really fun tidbit to find out about in this book. And like searching it up and making sure like, oh, is this what that meant? That was just really cool. Thiago, in the beginning, Thiago presents himself as a blood sommelier. Oh my gosh, I forgot how that word is. Sommelier, and becomes Marian's key to escaping life from the preying slums. At first, of course, I feel like he is shown to be like a very benevolent person, and I think it's pretty easy to tell that he's not as good of a person as he appears to be. Like, even though he is the excuse me. Okay, sorry. Even though he is the quote unquote savior to Marian that takes her out of her precarious and pretty much depressing home situation where she lived before she came to Elizabeth's home. But then you find out he just is kind of like it's like a business thing. He doesn't really care about the blood maid candidates or the ones that actually do become legitimate blood maids. So yeah, it's very interesting to see that slowly get revealed and found out for the story. And then the next part I have is the knit cap. Maybe it was too much of a small detail to fixate on, but I thought there'd be more to the knit cap that Marian had on her person at the beginning of the book. So she has this like little hat, knit cap. I guess you could see it as her losing the knit cap in the end is her leaving behind her old life in the praying slums, but it could also be just be an unimportant detail that doesn't need to be further elaborated on for the rest of the book. Yeah, I thought there was more of a... I was kind of confused because I thought there was more of a significance to her hat, but she kind of just leaves it behind in the end at Elizabeth's house. So, yeah, I'm not really sure about that. And, yeah. And then the Joker, what was the significance of the Joker? Was he supposed to be a red herring? I thought he could have been more of a key player within the story, so I was a little disappointed that he only appeared in the small part where he appeared. I wonder if his story will be built upon, because I feel like House of Hunger may be the start of a 4-part series, mirroring the other 3 houses the titles could possibly be derived from. So, I am not exactly sure about... Because I feel like since there are 3 other houses that were mentioned, this is, like, obviously alluding to, like, House of Hunger being, like, part of a 4-part series, but it's a standalone as of now, I think. I haven't checked on it Actually, I could check on it right now. Let me go and see. Yeah, it's still a standalone right now. So it feels like it should be part of a series, but it's not. So I'm not really sure what that is. I don't want to say any misleading information, so I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I feel like maybe the knit cap thing could have also possibly have been a red herring as well. So maybe I shouldn't have looked too deeply into that. And if there was to be a series, I feel like maybe the Joker could be like a weird reoccurring side character, possibly. I'm not sure, but there isn't, so I'm just speculating. So please don't take what I say for this part seriously. Here we go. Mushroom slash fungus. With the many mentions of mushrooms in the book, I really thought there would be something sinister happening with the funky bleeding fungi that was talked about. The cast even consumed the bleeding mushrooms at some point, so I know they weren't poisonous, but I still had my suspicions regarding the fungi all the same. I think this was, looking back on it now, I think this was also a red herring, because I think possibly the author just put it in for like weird, strange, creepy, just mushroom imagery, possibly. But yeah. And here is the last part. Excuse me. What I like most about House of Hunger is the writing style, its characters, setting, and its unique take on vampires. Writing style. House of Hunger's writing style is lush, delicious, and dark. Its beckoning hands really pull you into the story. The prose is elegant and the pacing is just right. What can I say? It was just such a treat to read something with its words and prose so beautifully crafted and equally engaging. Characters. Okay, characters. The most compelling characters within the cast are probably Marion and Elizabeth. The other bloodmaids are distinctive but still act as mostly side or background characters. I've seen some criticism on Marion acting clueless when she arrived at the House of Hunger. I think those people should be in her shoes. She has been living all of her life in the slums of Prain. She wouldn't have time to be learning all of the complicated intricacies of noble etiquette. I think it's realistic that she fumbles her way through the house because she isn't used to this decadent and high-class environment. Yeah, just what I said. I feel like it's a very strange criticism because she is just like a regular civilian. She was like a factory worker. And to be critical of her, like, why doesn't she know how to do this and why doesn't she know about this thing when she's in the House of Hunger is just strange because she just wouldn't know. She's just a regular like everyday person. She's not a noble. So of course she wouldn't know any of the rules that comes with being like a noble person. But anyway, here we go. Unique take on vampires. The take on what kind of vampire is presented in this book is done in a subtle but interesting way. Instead of having aspects taken from vampires coming from a more fantasy angle, it's done in a way that feels more realistic, is how I would describe it. One example that really stood out to me is the augmented fangs that are put over some of Elizabeth's teeth. I thought that was very interesting because it kind of gives a unique perspective on like what is a vampire essentially. I like that it's more of like why are they consuming the blood than what is it like, oh well, she needs blood because she's a vampire, but then you think also like why does she need to consume blood? She's not like a traditional vampire. It's like, oh well, I need that to, I mean obviously she needs that to survive, but like there's a much more deeper, darker aspect as to why her family slash bloodline needs to consume blood. So it's very interesting the way that the concept of vampires is explored, and I really enjoyed that in this book. But yeah, I had an inkling that House of Hunger would probably be a 5-star, but I didn't want to count my eggs before I reached the end. As you could probably tell, I rated this book 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars. Yes. This was one of my favorite books of 2023. And it just renewed my love for vampire books in general. I love vampires, so this was a very lovely treat being able to read this book. Okay. I will be right back. I need to take another bathroom break. Okay, I am back. And thank you. Thank you, Joseph. I'm glad because I was worried. I really like I really wanted to before I wanted to make this into a video, so I wanted to get really in depth with it. So this was part of a different script for that canceled video. So thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the more detailed review for this book. I like talking more about books or media that I like than going into detail about why I dislike a book. That's kind of what my aim is for my stuff on this channel. But yeah, let me go back to my slides. Now where am I? Okay, now we're going to this book. Okay. Excuse me. I forgot to make notes for this book, so excuse me. Oh my gosh. Excuse me. Let me just clear my throat really quick. we go. The next book. Role-playing by Kathy Yardley. Let me bring up the book. So this was one of the, it might be the only one, I think. This might be the only 5-star romance that I read last year. I really, really enjoyed this book very much. It is about a mother named Maggie, and she's kind of feeling like a little bit of like, what is the concept again? Like empty nest syndrome with her son going off to college. So she's also, she's divorced, so it's just her. And what does she do? I think she does some kind of, she works remotely from home. I think some sort of editorial position. I don't remember. So she doesn't have like a traditional office / cubicle that she works from. So she just works from home. I like that she's I like following grumpy female characters. It's a little bit refreshing to like meet a character, a female character specifically that is grumpy. I like that. And she's just trying to find a hobby to like pass the time when she's like finished with work, and just like sorry, let me collect my thoughts. To get through the process of missing her son, and knowing that he's now far away from her, and she worries about him, but she tries not to be like a busybody mom about it in that sort of way. And then she goes and she plays, I think she plays the same MMO she and her son used to play together. So that's really cool. And I was interested in like how the author would be describing like the game, like how the game works and everything. And it was awesome because it was written in a way where I just knew that the author played games herself. I was just like, this is somebody that knows what she's talking about for games, because it felt like exactly how it feels like when I play FF14, aka Final Fantasy 14. And I was just like, okay, I think this author possibly plays a pretty well-known MMO. Like, I don't have much experience with Destiny, so maybe Destiny, or like I said, FF14, which is my wheelhouse. But it definitely, I was like, this author knows her stuff. So I liked reading the parts where she talked about Maggie playing the MMO, which was cool. And then she meets a guy in the MMO, but she doesn't know who he is, of course. But of course, we as the reader know it's the main love interest / other main protag in the book. What's his name? His name is Aiden. Yeah, Aiden. That's so funny. His screen name is Otter, and Maggie's is Bog Witch. And yeah, it's just like it's just a very nice and sweet slice of life romance. Talking about them gaming and just navigating new and difficult circumstances in their everyday lives, which is really nice to read about. And it's also just very nice to read a romance book where the characters are a little bit older. They're not in their 20s or even 30s. They're a little bit more older than that. Maggie is 48, and I almost called him Otter. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be wrong. That's his screen name in the MMO. But Aiden is 50, so that's pretty cool. They're like middle age. So yeah, shout out to people who find love when they're in oh my god, I'm sorry. Shout out to people who find love when they're of middle age. Yeah, that could have come out a little bit better, but whatever. Oh yeah, the description on Storygraph at least is from Kathy Yardley, author of Love, Comment, Subscribe, comes an emotional rom-com about two middle-aged gamers who grow their online connection into an IRL love story. That's basically what role-playing is. Very good. I would highly recommend it if you enjoy older characters being like the main characters in like a slice of life story, specifically like in a romantic angle, of course. And there's a little bit of LGBTQ aspects with one of the protags. That's always nice, of course. Yeah, there's not much else to say. I gave this 5 stars. 5 out of 5 stars. This was a huge win for me. Okay, I will move on to the next. Alright. This is another horror book that I read last year. Excuse me. Where They Wait by Scott Carson. This is a book. I forgot the guy's name. What is his name? Nick? Yeah, his name is Nick. And he recently got laid off. Did I write this down? Let me see. The writing retreat. Nope. Let's see. Okay, I guess I'll wing this one. He recently got laid off. I think he used to work as a journalist, the main character, and he moves back to his hometown. Also, I think that is where, his mom is currently staying in not a home care, what do you call it? Oh dear. Like a place where they take care of older folks. I don't remember the term, but I think you all might know what I mean. But yes, he gets a job opportunity from one of his close friends, and it's like a tech startup, of course, and it has to do with testing they call a mindfulness app called Clarity. And he also meets up with an acquaintance? Yeah, an old childhood acquaintance. I forgot her name. They don't have it here on the description. So his there's her and his college buddy who gave him the job offer, and I think he's just there to write copy for the startup company. And then things start to get strange, and there's like it's like horror that has to do with like audio and sounds and songs, because Clarity is about it offers in the description relaxing white noise and guided meditations, and then the thing that is like its star that sets it apart from other mindfulness apps called sleep songs. And so there's like a little bit of like a historical aspect, sort of, like I'm guessing like colonial North America, like the 13 colonies kind of thing. I might be wrong, but that was the kind of vibe that it gave me. And yeah, it was actually pretty creepy. I remember actually getting pretty creeped out reading this. And like it was going so well. It was going so well until like like it was kind of similar to how I felt with Camp Zero. Like the last third of the novel is disappointing in my opinion. So like something happens to a couple of characters, and then I'm just like, oh my gosh, the author does the thing where spoiler alert where he basically kills off one of the only recurring female characters, and I'm just like, okay, I was hoping you weren't going to do that, but you did. And I was just like, man, that is just so disappointing. Like it was, I was just like, okay, this is great. Like, wow, actually, a male author, like, being being normal about his female characters, but then he's just like, well, I'm gonna throw the rug from under you, and I'm just gonna kill her. What do you think about that? And I'm just like, great. Why did I think you were gonna be any different? So I'm just like, that was disappointing. Because I thought she was very interesting. She was like the childhood acquaintance / friend of Nick. So I was just like, alright, well, there we go. Now I gotta lower the star rating for this book. Also the technology and the research that was done for this made up mindfulness app and the history and the sound stuff was very interesting. I really enjoyed that. At least that was something I did enjoy, and I feel like there was pretty in-depth like research when it comes to like the technology side of things when they were like describing stuff with the app and everything. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I was just really disappointed by that. And then it just felt it was so weird. The vibe of by the end of the novel it felt weirdly fake. Like it suddenly got like out of nowhere very not that there was anything wrong with the ending being positive. It was just the way it was executed it felt very fake with like the messages that the author was trying to describe, like, oh, take advantage of living life day by day. Like, don't waste your time and don't waste your like, live every day like it's your last, like those cliche kind of like saying. I was just like, okay, I guess. I wasn't expecting something like that kind of message to occur at the end of this kind of book. But I was just like, okay, that was kind of my reaction. I'm like, alright. I was kind of giving it like the metaphorical side eye. I was just like reading that part. I was like, I just want this to be done. And then it was done. I was like, okay, I'm glad I'm done with reading this book. So great start, great middle, not so great end, if I had to put it in a succinct way. But yeah, if you enjoy horror that plays with like sound, audio, music, and a little splash of historical, made up historical bits and storytelling, this could be something for you, I suppose. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And here we go. Next one, Flower Heart. I think I have notes for this. It's just me turning on my lamp. Flower Heart. Let's see. I could have sworn that I had notes for this. Let me see. Okay, I guess not. I'll just try to remember what I thought of this book. Flower Heart. let me go and see what Storygraph has to say. So it's described as it's a YA debut. It's a fantasy book, and it was described as being like having some Howl's Moving Castle vibes, which I personally did not feel was accurate. But yeah, is she, what is it? Do they, witches? She's a witch? I think, I might be wrong. Clara is a witch, and she has like a very wild, sort of untamed magic that she has trouble controlling. And this isn't a spoiler because it happens in the beginning of the book. She accidentally loses control of her magic for a moment, but it's enough to cause poisonous flowers to bloom on her dad's chest. And she needs to, the only way she could cure him of that is to cast a very difficult spell, and of course it requires perfect control, which she doesn't have. And then we meet the second main character, Xavier, who's also the love interest of Clara. It's kind of similar to what I said in my hot or not kind of video, where I just wanted to try out because it has the deceivingly beautiful book cover. Like, look at that book cover, it's beautiful. But of course, the contents within the story, it was a little bit disappointing. It just felt very juvenile. I am personally not a fan of insta-love. It was pretty insta-lovey with like the so-called chemistry between Clara and her friend Xavier. I didn't really root for their relationship much. It was just kind of there. And then there was the most interesting thing, in my opinion, was when like the story would suddenly get a little bit dark, and it would talk about how like it has like excuse me, someone is calling me. Okay, I am back. I should have put this, I didn't mean to, but I used the House of Hunger scene again. But oh well, it's fine. It's pretty, and I worked hard on it. Let us go back to talking about Flower Heart. I think the most interesting part was when there was like, of course, allusions to mental health and how potions cannot be taken to, of course, cure those conditions like depression, for example, and stuff. So that was interesting. I liked that part of the story. That was probably one of the more interesting parts. But then like sort of related to that was the side, what is it, the side plot? No, like I guess it would be side plot. It wasn't like the main plot. Like Clara meeting her mom. This is sort of spoilers as well, minor spoilers for the last part of the book. And that interaction it just felt very rushed. And this is of course like explicitly said to be a standalone, so there's not going to be a sequel. So it just kind of leaves that part of the story about her mom being a little open-ended, I suppose, because her mom is like sort of like a minor villain within the plot, and like uses the magic she was gifted to create these illegal potions to help people with their like conditions and stuff. So that was a little bit, the pacing for that was a little bit off, but oh well. It's something. This book, it was lighthearted. I just really wanted to get it done. As I reached the end, I was just kind of through with it. But yeah, if you like YA magical based like stories and some interesting takes on like how magic sort of works. It like kind of has a little bit of a realistic spin with how, especially like how the magic users can create potions. Then maybe this is something for you. If you don't mind insta-lovey romance, this could be something for you as well. But yeah, overall, that's about it for my thoughts of this book. I gave it a 3.25 out of 5 stars. Oh boy. Here we go. This was also, yeah, I changed the rating for this as well later on. I don't even remember my old rating. But yep, this is another romance book I read. It's about 2 characters named Ari and Josh, and they are New Yorkers. The author makes it very clear that she knows what New York is about. There's so many references to like specific places in New York. So like if you're a person if you're a person that wants to like visit New York for like not so touristy locations, I suppose maybe you could use some of the locations talked about in this book at your next New York trip, perhaps. But yeah, I was intrigued by this book because I like enemies to lovers, enemies to friends to lovers, but like I did not like how it was executed in this book. I feel like it's hard to execute enemies to lovers / enemies to friends to lovers in a realistic setting. It just doesn't really work out. I feel like it mostly works in like a more magical, like fantasy or sci-fi setting. Sometimes I think in some exceptions it works, but this one, no. And also I think it's hilarious how it's just pitched so heavily in the marketing as a gender bent version of When Harry Meets Sally. I've never watched that movie, so that marketing tactic does not work for me. I have no idea what that means. When that is like the main selling point of like getting like the romance girlies into this book. I'm just like, I have no idea what that means. I do not have a history of watching rom-coms. So I was just like, that just flew over my head like, you will like this if you enjoy the movie When Harry Met Sally. And I'm just sitting here like, I have no idea what that means. But yeah, oh my goodness. I will just quickly run through this because I don't want to make this into like sort of like a rant. But this will be a little bit of a rant review. They are both insufferable. I will just say it plainly. Both the main protags are incredibly insufferable. It is kind of the situation where in a romance book where you're just like, you two are just major disasters. You know what? You guys do deserve each other because you can be disasters to each other in a loving and romantic way. It's also described as funny. I did not laugh while reading this book. Sometimes there were a few parts where I like exhaled through my nose, like, okay, that was something, but overall I did not think this book was funny. And Ari, it is not even, I'm trying to say this in like a not disrespectful way. She's not a real person, so I guess it's fine. It's so difficult to like describe her in a good way because like she's just a mess. And like the main aspect of her personality is that she partakes in the devil's lettuce, and it's always mentioned over and over, and it's a bit, if I have to say, underwhelmingly annoying. Like, I get it, I have nothing against people who partake in the devil's lettuce, but like, you cannot make that your whole personality. But it is her whole it's her whole personality for this character. And she's afraid of commitment. Yeah, she's afraid of commitment and getting into a serious relationship. And then, what is it, Josh is the guy who, he's like a hopeless romantic. He's like cold on the outside, but he's like inside he's like a softie and a hopeless romantic. He's like very serious, he's committed, he's like, yeah, he's that kind of guy. But he's also really insufferable by the way of his, just the pretentiousness of his attitude with like cooking and stuff, and like just the privileged aspect of him, like being able to take over his father's restaurant, but then absolutely just messing up the whole process and making all of the old regulars that went to his father's establishment super mad at him. And I'm just like, I just can't relate to that, because I'm just like, well, good for you, I suppose, getting that and just messing it all up, I suppose. It was just a time. It wasn't even like a totally fun time, because it was just reading about these two like messy people, not even in a fun or juicy way, but just them just messing it up within their personal lives, and then also accidentally messing things up within the relationship that they grow and have in the end. Also, Ari almost loses, spoiler alert, one of her friends, because she gets into a fight because like her friend got fired by this guy, and then like her friend finds out that he is like interacting with Ari, and she's just like, why didn't you tell me about him and stuff. And that was just like a whole nother thing that I just did not like, because like it was just weird. If I had to say there was a character I cared about, it was Ari's like best friend. Like, I would like to read something about her life than these two characters, because she has her personality was interesting, and she is like a successful chef within the restaurant world. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit embarrassing if I feel more connected with like a side character than the two main protagonists, but whatever. That's just my opinion, of course. What else? She's a comedian. Ari is a comedian. That's her job. But you never ever get to see what her material is. Like, if you're a comedian and you write about it and you talk about it, even more so than her smoking the devil's lettuce, I was just like, I want to know what your routine is. Like, I want to know like what jokes you're performing and doing on stage. But I really thought there would be like a part where Josh would come at the end and he watches one of her shows and he has like a grand old time. But no, that's the crazy thing. There's no like snapshot conclusion of her doing stand-up, which is crazy to me. Like, you never know what kind of jokes she likes to crack in her, like, routines and stuff. You just don't know anything about it at all. The only thing you know about her writing is when she's doing, like, her side gig of, like, writing obituaries or wedding vows for couples. And I'm just like, what? Like, even if they weren't funny, I just wanted to know, like, what she writes for her material. I just think that's so strange that you just never ever find out what her, like, humor is, what her comedy is supposed to be when she's a comedian. We get in, like, so much detail finding out about, like, Josh's involvement in job/career with cooking and being a chef and being involved in the restaurant/food world, but it's crazy that we don't know that about, like, Ari's world. Although we know a lot about, we get into, like, all of the itty bitty details about her life as well. But, like, that's the one aspect that really threw me off. I'm just like, what? Where is it? Where is the comedy? Where are the bits? It's just not there. So yeah, if you like, I suppose, if you enjoy books following absolutely just messy characters and, like, they are basically just made for each other because they both are just different kinds of mess. And just seeing how they navigate through all these different life situations and stuff, maybe this is the book for you if you're into that kind of thing for your romance books. And if you love New York, if you love New York, New Yorkers, New York culture, this is also the book for you, because there's so many references to so many pop culture things. That was fun. That was fun to read about pop culture and just New York life, the New York lifestyle and New York culture. This could be a romance book you would like, a contemporary romance book you might like. I gave this book 3 stars out of 5. Oh, I forgot this. Oh my gosh, sorry. I didn't say the author's name. You Again by Kate Goldbeck. Anyway, moving on. This is a thriller book I read called The Only One Left by Riley Sager. Excuse me. It is about, what is the lady's name? Kit. Oh my goodness, Kit McDear, and she ends up being, what is it? The home health aide to an infamous member of this town called, the mansion is called Hope's End. I don't remember. It's a little town in Maine. And she is the supposed only survivor of a very violent and bloody massacre that occurred at her family home, the cliffside mansion of Hope's End. There's even, like, a whole what is it, nursery rhyme, like a, excuse me, messed up dark little nursery rhyme about this lady. Excuse me. It's not a spoiler to read it. Oh my goodness. sorry. Let me take a sip of water. Okay. I am back. Excuse me. Back to The Only One Left. I almost said The Only One Left Behind, but that's probably something else. Yes. The nursery rhyme is, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. Yada yada. It's like saying it like children's playgrounds or something within the book. But yes, we follow Kit. She has a difficult relationship with her father. He doesn't seem to acknowledge her. And she just leaves her house one day, and after she gets this assignment, nobody wants to get assigned to the Lenora Hope case, so she cannot say anything, and she's desperate to get back into working her job. Like, there's also some kind of thing that happened with Kit, and you will find out about that later on in the book, but it gets referenced a lot in the beginning. And then we meet Lenora. She's immobile. She needs help with basically all of her day-to-day living faculties, so Kit helps her with that. And then there's like other people that still work and live within the mansion as well, and they're important, of course. And then there's like little tidbits at certain parts that talk about... Lenora talks about like she tells Kit about what really happened that night, with like a deal that they set up and everything, which is really interesting. I can't say much more without giving like heavy spoilers to the plot, so I will end it there. It's definitely the most, at least in my opinion, safe. The way he wrote this one. This is like his most safe sort of thriller that he's written yet, which I thought was very funny to say. Like, it even, well, this is sort of a spoiler. The ending is actually quite positive and cheery and bright, so that's nice. It even has like a nice little happy ending to wrap everything up, which I thought was so funny given like all of the other thriller books he's written in the past. So yeah, it's very interesting. If you like Who Really Done It, those kinds of stories, this could be something you would like. It's very interesting to read from like a perspective of like a sort of jaded individual like Kit. I liked reading from her POV. And all of like the messy, juicy details of the Hope family was also very interesting to read. So that's pretty... If you like learning about like rich people and like all the drama and stuff that goes on within like a certain infamous family, maybe this could be something you would like as well. Yeah, that's all I really have to say for that. I gave this book 4.25 out of 5 stars. Yeah, it's a pretty enjoyable read. It's funny because this is sort of unrelated, just with like Riley Sager's work in general. I like that people were like saying like, oh, he's going to go on a break. This is like his last thing. This was supposed to be the last thing he was working on before he like took like a indefinite hiatus from writing. But then he like he made an announcement and said like, oh yeah, I'm working on another book. I'm not going on my break yet. I don't even know if he's going on that break anyways anymore, but yeah, like his new it's getting published sometime this year, called Middle of the Night, and this will be the first time that he will be writing a protag that is... all of his thrillers have been following female protags. But this will be the first time we will be following a male main character, which I find interesting that it's taken him this long to write one. And if you've read some of his stuff in the past, you can kind of see why I'm just like, my like, not my expression, you can't see my expression, but my vocal expression is because there are definitely some patterns that like kind of follow with some of the male characters and the female characters that he has with this book, especially with the one interaction with the one male character. Kit meets the groundskeeper. I forgot his name. The groundskeeper that Kit meets, and what is it? I need to look at his bibliography. Home Before Dark. What's that protag's name? Home Before Dark. Maggie. And the male character that she interacts with a lot. It's kind of similar to that. So I'm just like, okay, so what is he gonna bring to the table now that he's changing it up with this new work with a male character. So like, I'm kind of intrigued, but I'm just kind of like, there's another side to me that's just, we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I might check it out, but it's not something I'm putting a priority on my 2024 TBR at this point. Oh shoot. Okay. Something just came up. It's okay though. Yeah, that's all I really have to say for this. Did I say? I gave, if I did, sorry. If I didn't, I gave it a 4.25 out of 5 stars. A pretty solid thriller, yeah. Okay. The next book that I read is Well Met, another romance book. I started this book, I don't remember, it was possibly 2019, and then I forgot to put it on my story graph, but I finally finished it. This is a very good romance book as well. What is it? What is the main character's name? Emily. Emily moves to a small town to help her sister out. Okay, wait. Let me. It was just family coming up the stairs. They started talking, so I just muted it. But yeah, let me get back. Oh my god. I screamed. Excuse me. But yes, Well Met. Oops. My cursor. To the small town of Willow Creek, Maryland. To help her sister recover from an accident, but then she ends up volunteering at the local Renaissance fair alongside her niece, which is cool. I've only been to a Renaissance fair once, but it was a very fun experience. I would love to do it again sometime in the future. Where I live, we do have a local Ren fair, so I don't know. Maybe I'll make a trip there when I have more time. But anyways, Yeah, and then she meets the love interest. What's his name? Simon, and they don't get along at first because he doesn't like. He wants to follow the tradition of how the Renaissance Fair has been organized in the past, because it was something that his brother used to help organize with. So he feels if he doesn't do it the way that his father, sorry, his brother used to do it, it's like besmirching his brother's name. Oop. Okay, I am back. Let me go back. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're enjoying it. This is so scuffed, but it's my first time doing this, so I'm just trying my best. Where were we? Yeah, it was really nice. I really enjoyed the romance between Emily and Simon a lot. It was absolutely delicious. It was really good. Very good chemistry. And I just really enjoyed their banter, especially when they were in character as I don't remember Emily's code name for her character. Her character that she played at the Renaissance Fair. But she was like a bar wench maiden. And Simon was like some kind of pirate, I think. Let me see. He's like a... What is it? If I'm wrong, I am wrong. But I think he was a pirate. But Simon is like a school teacher. Excuse me. In the day. And during the summer, he plays as a pirate? Yeah. Man, it was nice, very lighthearted and a little bit funny at times, a little serious at times. Yeah, and like Emily wants to like find her like place within this little town, Willow Creek. And just her like navigating all of the locals and everything and finding out where she is with Simon and stuff. It was a good time. It was a little bit slow by the end of the book, but I had a really good time with it. And that's all I will say without going into spoiler territory. It's part of a series with companion novels, so you're gonna like basically oh jeez, what did I do? Oh no, why did this happen? Oh god. Oh gosh. Okay. Well. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I figured that out. The other companion novels just talk about the other characters that you hear and meet in the first book. But I'm not really interested in reading the others. I think there's a new one called Well Traveled. I'll see what that is, but yeah, I think Emily and Simon's relationship is my favorite of all the other ones. So I'm happy to just stop it at the first book. But yeah, if you like sweet, lighthearted, sometimes a bit funny, romance, a modern romance set in a Renaissance fair, this might be for you. And if you like characters, the main characters bantering with each other, this will be a really good one for you as well. Yes, I gave this 4.25 out of 5 stars. Okay, the next book that I read is called In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. Oh my gosh, did I forget to say the author? I'm sorry. Well Met by Jen DeLuca. That's the author for that book. This book is called In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. It is a thriller mystery book with dark academia vibes. So if you like dark academia, this could be the thing for you. So we follow a main character named Jessica Miller. She is very afraid to be ordinary. She wants to be somebody that is noticed. It has been a big fear that she has throughout her life, basically. Even her name, she feels, is very plain and doesn't stand out. She is somebody that wants to stand out and wants people to also praise her for it. So she has come back. The beginning of the novel starts with her coming back to her old university called Duquette University for their 10-year reunion. And then she's meeting back, reuniting with old friends and everything. And yeah, their friend group was called the East House 7. And then we get to know all of the members within that group, including, of course, Jessica herself. And we are also following an ongoing mystery and crime that happened to one of the members named Heather, who was murdered. And that basically pretty much just broke up the group, understandably, of course. So we're trying to find out what happened with Heather and who was the culprit. And it's a very interesting book about definitely talks about the opportunities that are present for certain students within an academic setting. So especially here in a university setting. So what opportunities are open for them, and who is more likely to be noticed by certain professors and to give specifically reference letters, or letters of commendation, etc., and the unfairness of how things are treated. Some students are treated in a class, explored in a class, not a school class, classism. So it explores aspects of classism within a university/academic setting, and also about what it means to stand out and wanting to stand out and be quote-unquote unique, and what comes about the obsession of wanting that sort of aspect within your life, wanting to stand out, wanting accolades, wanting a good job, a good future. What are all these things mean, especially in regards to Jessica? She's a very interesting and also messy individual, which was still pretty interesting and sort of fun to follow. Although she kind of got a little bit insufferable, in my opinion, by the end. The tone also drastically changes by the end, and I was just kind of, without spoiling anything, I'll just say it just really made me scratch my head, metaphorically speaking and literally speaking. I was just scratching my head by the end, why did this happen? Why did all of this turn out to be this way? But yeah, if you want to find out why, you can of course read the book. Yeah, very interesting take within this book with dark academic vibes to it. It was also very interesting to hear what the author said too. It was fun hearing her process and how she creates characters, how she builds them from the ground up, and also how she structures and builds plots. That was really cool. From what was it? It it was a live stream interview done by the Late Night Book Club, and the members interviewed Ashley Winstead. That was really cool. I have that in my favorites somewhere, and I really enjoyed the whole interview. It was very cool, just getting into her head on like how the whole like writing process goes for her when writing this kind of novel. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, to end it, I gave this a 7.7. I was reading it. A 3.75 out of 5 stars. Yep. Next one. The next book I read is Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. It is a very pretty short. I'm not sure if it was specifically labeled as novella, but we'll just call it a novel for now. And it's a fantasy book with some dark horror elements to it. And we follow the main character, whose name is Mara. She is a princess, and she kind of gives up her title pretty much in the beginning of the book to become a nun. Yeah. And she is the third daughter of a line of princesses who belong to a small, like, seaside town. And she wants to exact revenge on the abusive prince who has made her older sisters suffer in the Kingdom of the North. It's like a very snowy kingdom. Definitely gives off fairy tale vibes. I like the way the writing style is done in this book. Feels very ye old, like within like Once Upon a Time, that kind of vibe for fairy tales, but also not like difficult to read at all. Very easy to follow. And she goes while on her rescue mission, she needs like tools to complete 3 impossible tasks: build a dog of bones, sew a cloak of nettles, capture Moonlight in a jar, and what does she meet? She meets the other characters are a disgraced ex-knight, a reluctant fairy godmother, and a grave witch and her familiar. And I really like that some of the 2 of the main characters in the cast are older women. That was really nice to follow characters that are a little bit older. Mara is, I think she's in her 30s. She's not like the traditional young kind of princess you would follow in this kind of story. So yeah, this story is very unique in that aspect. There's a little romance that builds between 2 characters, and it was very sweet to follow that. That was a really cute relationship to follow. It isn't a main part of the story, but it's a nice little thing that a little extra nice thing that is there that I really enjoyed for the story. But yeah, if you like somewhat subversive fairy tale fantasy stories, this is something for you. It has some dark horror elements within like the universe, done in a very interesting way. Very and the details of the world are like told in like a simple but easy to understand fashion. That is you just get the barest of details, and then the author kind of just like lets you fill in the blanks with your mind. I like experiencing that kind of thing as a reader, so I enjoyed that. I gave Nettle and Bone a 4.75 out of 5. The next book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a book, a light fantasy book, a light YA fantasy book with some pretty strong romance elements to it. Like I said before in my hot or not video, light fantasy is not something I'm really into, so that kind of, I thought there was going to be more fantasy elements to this book, but it was pretty light in comparison to what I expected. There's of course some like lore drops talking about like the gods in this book, but it's kind of like a background thing. It's not really a thing at the forefront of the story. We follow two journalists. They're like rivals, Iris Winnow and her rival. What is his name? Roman. And they're like rivals at this newspaper company. At the, what is it? It's like a newspaper / journalist newspaper company. Yes, called the Oath Gazette. And like I thought like the relationship between them would be like a little bit more drawn out, but it's pretty obvious that it's kind of like insta-lovey in like the early middle of the novel, which was a bummer to find out. Iris is trying to look for her brother who has been missing. He's MIA from enlisting to fight for one of the goddesses that this universe worships / follows. And they're just kind of caught up in this like war between these two gods. And that's, I don't know why at the bottom of the story graph description it says it's an epic enemies to lovers. This is not enemies to lovers. It's literally rivals to lovers, but it's like also not. It's like really pretty insta-lovey. It's like there's no enemies thing. It's rivals to lovers. And it was interesting because the author did some research with like World War One. So there's like some World War One aspects included within the fantasy world, which I wasn't expecting. Not really sure how I feel about that, but it is there. Yeah, it was fine. This was okay. I didn't enjoy it as much, but it was a okay book, and I'll just leave it at that. It's 3.5 out of 5 star for me. Let's move on. This is the first audiobook that I ever listened / read to, and it is The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths. I was inspired to read this through audiobook format because I was playing the game Baldur's Gate 3, BG3, and one of the characters, Raphael, his voice actor, is a narrator in this audiobook, and I was really, really intrigued by that, so I wanted to see how that went. And I really, really enjoyed it. This was a really good introduction to audiobooks for me. It is about... what is it? We follow between multiple perspectives, so we mostly follow a mother, a working mother named Claire Cassidy, who works as a high school English teacher. And her thing is that she specializes in discussing and teaching about the works of R.M. Holland, a fictional Gothic writer within this world. But it's pretty much like modern England, I think. But yeah, that's very interesting. And then like we find out that R.M. Holland, he used to actually, I think, live within the school that she teaches as. But yeah, that is her deal. she gets involved into a case, and it kind of follows a little bit of like the plot of one of excuse me. Oh yeah, I really enjoyed roleplay. I think that's why I gave that more of a higher rating than I did for Well Met. That one just gave me more of a better impression. Although I still really enjoyed Well Met. But yeah, anyways, yeah, then like Claire, I don't remember anymore, but she gets involved in a case with the police, and then we meet detective. Either she's a detective or she's an officer. But we meet what the series is named after, Harbinger Core. We also follow her perspective within the book. I especially all the narrators did a really great job doing their parts for the book. It was very realistic. The one thing I really enjoyed, one of the things I enjoyed the most was like how realistic the characters were written. They just felt like very real, fleshed out people, basically. They feel like people you would meet in real life, you would know, or even like see out in the street, depending on how you imagine them to look like, I suppose. But yeah, there's like this is in the description. So it's Claire gets like the scare of her life. She keeps diaries in her shelf at home, and then she checks one of her diaries, and then she finds somebody has been writing in her diaries too, which is the message just says, "Hello Claire, you don't know me." And then she is, of course, understandably freaked out, and then that's how Harbinger and her partner, I forgot his name, but yeah, they get involved inside the case, and then yeah, like the case is mostly involved with Claire. It starts with Claire finding out one of her co-workers / friends got murdered. And of course, she's just wondering, like, okay, does this involve me somehow? Spoiler alert, it does. And we just find out and gather the clues on who the culprit is, and all of the rest that happens after that. I think what makes this stand out to me from some other mysteries I've read is that I just really enjoyed the aspect of having a fictional gothic writer being involved in like the backdrop of the novel. You get like excerpts of his story, his most famous story, The Stranger, and that's where Raphael's voice actor, he voice acts that part, Andrew Wincott, and that's a very delightful part to just listen to, because he gets really into reading those parts, and that's just awesome, because like I like when audiobook narrators, they just get really into it, and it just feels like they're like actually voice acting the parts, because sometimes they're just kind of just reading it from like the page and not doing any special inflections or anything. But all of these narrators here, they do a really great job. I won't say all of their I should talk about the others because you don't know who they voice. So there's Andrew Wincott, who narrates as R.M. Holland. I won't say the rest because those are spoilers. Esther Wayne, Sarah Feathers, and Anjana Vasan as the last narrator. But yeah, I really, really recommend this. If you can, please get the audiobook version. You will not be disappointed. It's very good. But yeah, I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. The next one is another horror book that I read called Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. This is, as you can see, it's about like kind of like a parody of IKEA. It's called what is it? Orsk. The store is called Orsk. So it's like Swedish adjacent furniture. Swedish adjacent named furniture, and it's we're following a certain Orsk store within Cleveland, Ohio. They did not put any of the characters' names in the description, so I'm sorry, but yeah, we follow a small group of main characters. Our main character is a young lady. I don't remember her name anymore, but like there's something obviously wrong with this store, and they will unfortunately find out what's going on in the store and what makes it so creepy and wild. But yeah, this was pretty good. I enjoyed the satirical tone of it, talking about like retail jobs. Retail is basically one of the horrors itself discussed in this book, and just like about dreams, about what you want to do in your life. And it was funny because one of the main villains, the main antagonist, he really reminds me of Elias Bouchard from the podcast, the horror podcast, the Madness Archives. And I thought that was very funny because he controls some sort of structure or building or room that's called the Panopticon, and I'm like, ooh, wait. I was like, no, it's not, but like it gave me like very definitely, they're not really, it's not a reference of course, but like it did give me Magnus Archives vibes. But yeah, I won't say anything else. It's a pretty average read. It gets pretty gross later on though. I was not expecting it to be gross, but it does get gross with some details of what happens within the store. Nothing like violent or anything. It's literally gross stuff flooding the store. Nothing so serious that would possibly warrant a content warning, unless you really don't like dirty things that come flooding or popping out of an old furniture superstore. But yes, I will end it there. I gave it a 3.25 out of 5 stars. What is the next one? Okay, this is a 5-star horror book, and it's called Natural Beauty by Ling Huang. This is possibly my most highest rated horror book, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was so beautifully written, but it was also like there was certain parts that were so uncomfortable to read, very disturbing at some points. I feel like it would kind of be sort of, it's definitely talks about and critiques the beauty industry. Basically, it's about an unnamed narrator who we follow, who suddenly gets a job at this like big beauty boutique sort of company place in New York. And just the crazy and wild and really disturbing like spiral that happens involving the main character and the company. I really think it's amazing because I feel like the author definitely did a lot of research on like beauty products, specifically like skincare products as well. And our main character, she used to be a student at this renowned musical school, and she specialized in the piano. And she plays a certain style, musical style that only she can produce, which was passed down from her parents. And what is it? The conservatory, yeah. It's just called the conservatory, is the school that she went to. And not only is like there's like such horrific details of learning about like what happens to the poor narrator at the, oh my gosh, that car sound. Hopefully it stops soon. Okay, it's going away. Not only do we find out about all the horrific things that like happen to the narrator while she works at her new place of employment. What's it? Do they even say holistic? Yeah, holistic. Holistic is the name. It's like the really frustrating aspect of like you as the reader know something very wrong and disturbing is happening, but the narrator herself does not know. She isn't caught up with the situation like we are. So it's just like you're kind of like metaphorically like trying to like shake her shoulders like something is happening, but there's nothing you can do because you're just an observer from the outside. And it also talks about like, of course, the immigrant experience, her being Chinese and her family escaping China from the Cultural Revolution, and she is like ostracized at her school. People are like insanely jealous of her skills and talent at piano, but she doesn't have any friends at her school, and she's just battling with all of like the societal like struggles of like fitting in as a student at school. And also her relationship with her parents is very bittersweet and just very touching and also incredibly heartbreaking. One of the reasons why is that I like regarding like the parts with like her parents, it made me cry a lot. So like of course if there's a book that makes me cry, I don't often cry when I read books, so if you manage to make me cry when I read a book, I feel like that's a plus. That just adds like, definitely the rating will be higher. So there's that. And like just like the relationships she attempts to like build with the other young women that she meets. She meets? Yeah, I think that's right. She meets within the story, and how she like wants to be accepted and wants to have like somebody that can like care and like love her aside from like her parents, like not even like romantic love, just like platonic love, and maybe hints of like romantic love as well. But yeah, there's definitely sapphic elements in this story, but there's no like, of course, concrete relationship we're following. We're just following the narrator as she navigates through these confusing and pretty bittersweet and heartbreaking relationships. Just her trying to find a place to belong and find people who can like accept her and not judge her and stuff. So there's that. But yeah, it's very creepy, definitely disturbing at some points. There's some content warning is there's definitely body horror that happens later on within the novel. So if you're not into that, then maybe this is a book to stay away from. But since it's like critiquing like beauty standards, excuse me, and how Eurocentric beauty standards bleed and influence, and just influence definitely in a very negative way, especially towards people of color. In this case, the main character is Asian, so it's mostly in regards to that as well, and some of the other characters too, and how they react and navigate through Eurocentric beauty standards. And yeah, it's sad, heartbreaking, chilling, disturbing, dark, and I really love the horror that is present in this book. It's just very insidious, especially like the way that you follow the narrator going through things. Everything just turns really insidious and just really creepy and disturbing as you find out what's happening to her and like happening around her as well, and how like certain characters react and interact with her. So it's really well done. This is an incredibly well done, and this is a debut as well, so this is really, what can I say, it's like really good. This is super good as a debut, and is just a book in general. The writing is beautiful and impeccable, chilling and dark. I really would like for this author to possibly write more horror books if she is so inclined to. I think it would be very good. Maybe something within the, like the literary fiction as well. I feel like her style would work very well with that. Maybe something with sci-fi, because this kind of has sort of current but near futuristic sci-fi elements with like how the beauty products work and stuff. So definitely am like very excited to check out more of this author's work. Hopefully a horror book, but I feel like I might just read almost anything from her, possibly. And I like she is also a working current professional violinist. So not only is she an author, she is a violinist as well. So definitely the way that she describes like music and all of the components and properties of like music and piano playing and instruments, it is definitely from her own experience. And if not from her own experience, she did really good research on the ongoing topic of music as well. Classical music, I think. Yeah. I think the main character plays classical as her style. I might be wrong, and if I am, please correct me. But yes, enough about that gushing. This, of course, as you can tell, is a 5 out of 5 stars for me. We are almost done. This is the second to last book that I've read in 2023. This is The Hacienda by Isabel Cañas. This is also a book I heavily enjoyed. It is a gothic horror book, and it is about our protag named Beatrice, and she gets married. Who does she get married to? She gets proposed to by a man named Rodolfo Solorzano. Please correct me if I mispronounce any of the names. And he is like a wealthy man who his family business involves making, what is it? It's like a, I don't remember anymore. It's like it's a drink of some sort. I think it's an alcoholic drink. And she goes and starts to live on his estate. His sister, who he lives on the estate of Hacienda San Isidro, and she gets warned by Rodolfo's sister, Juana. Rodolfo's sister, Juana. She kind of warns her, but also kind of gaslights her in a way about like weird stuff that's going on around the house. So like when Beatrice says like, oh, something happens, she's like, oh, you're just imagining things. I'm just like, jeez, classic gaslighting technique. Yeah, it's very good, very rich writing style, very beautiful. I will be honest, I wanted to read this for a bit, but I got motivated to reading it because I heard somebody I don't remember who, but somebody had said like, oh yeah, there's a hot young priest that is a main character in this book, and I'm just like, oh, hot young priest, you say? Like that. That's why I started the book. The priest I mentioned, what is it? Why did they not? Oh, here he is. His name is Andreas, and he has some history to him. He has like a power of some sort that he uses to help the people of the town. Is there a name? The town has a name somewhere, but it's not written in the description. But yeah, so Beatrice is trying to like uncover what is like the dark history of Hacienda San Isidro, and Andreas begins to like help her out with that, and also trying to like find out like what is the source of the darkness of the estate. And yeah, just very pretty classic gothic vibes, which I love. It's described as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca, which I feel is a pretty accurate comp title situation with that. Yeah, I love all the characters, the main characters at least. I love Beatrice and Andreas. They are both really strong and good characters. Open-ended ending, which made me a little bit sad because I was like, I want to know what happens to the two of them, because like they build up such a very intimate and wonderful relationship with each other in such a short amount of time, but it doesn't feel like insta-lovey, which is weird to say, but like it feels that way. But they still, yeah, their relationship is a very important core to the story. With whatever you think of it, whatever you think it is, romantic or not, yeah, it's very good. Yeah, yeah, I don't have much else to say. The horror was pretty good. I actually got creeped out a few times reading this. It was pretty scary at times, so that's a good aspect that it has to it as well. I love the historical aspects to it too. Very, you can tell the author definitely did a lot of research for it, and even made up some fictional details as well, with like Andreas's background with his his powers slash skills, which was really interesting to read in the the author's her afterward. But yeah, I would highly recommend it if you're a fan of the gothic horror subgenre, which I am very much so. Yeah, if you like historical gothic horror told in like a very rich, dark, and interesting setting, I think this is something for you. With very good, strong main characters. Beatrice and Andreas's personalities really stand out, and they're both really two lovely characters to follow throughout, and also the other characters too, the side slash minor characters. They're also very well fleshed out as well, I would say. Unfortunately, I don't remember any of their names, but Beatrice and Andreas would have to be put in the spotlight because they are the two main characters. Yeah, I gave this 4.75, but I think I might go back and round it to a 5, possibly. We'll see how I think. And here we go, the last book. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I am of the popular opinion that this book is amazing, so I feel like what I have to say about it is nothing particularly new, but hopefully you will enjoy it anyways. We follow a professor named Emily Wilde, and she specializes in the study of fairies and everything that has to do with fairies. And she goes to like a remote small village in, I think, Iceland, somewhere in Europe, called Hrafnsvik. I might mispronounce that. She is like a grumpy, cold kind of person, but she's very smart, very intelligent, and even though she doesn't have any like special like supernatural powers or anything, she uses her wits to get herself out of like sticky and difficult situations, which I think is awesome. I like seeing a character who just uses her brain to get out of like bad situations. I think that's awesome. And then the second main character is, I just remember his last name, Bamblebee. What the heck? Wendell Bamblebee. Who is like her colleague. They're like rivals. This is like a real form of like a real academic rivalry or rivals to lovers kind of situation. This is good. Their relationship is so fun to follow. Very bantery. And you can obviously tell it's how much Wendell really likes Emily, and that's just fun and juicy to just read. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, there's like some small problems that occur. She doesn't get along with the village folk, and she has to learn how to be more amenable and get along with them so they can help her with her research. And then the plot just thickens with meeting more of like the local fae folk within the area, and like how all of that goes down. Yeah, it's adventurous, it's fantasy, a good amount of fantasy. I would call this like medium fantasy. The author definitely did very good research on like all sorts of things about fae folk, so that is awesome. The relationship between Emily and Wendell, that was kind of what drew me into this story in the first place. It's amazing. I just like how much the two of them care for each other in their own unique ways. So their relationship is at the forefront, but it's a very fun and juicy relationship to follow. And the sequel is coming out I think it already came out. Yeah, I think it came out it came out sometime in January, I think. So I'm definitely going to be reading that, even though I'm pretty picky when it comes to what series I want to follow, but this is definitely something I will be following. I can't wait to read it. The second book is called Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. I'm not going to read the description, so I want to be surprised. And then I just see there's also a third book. I thought it was just going to be a duology, but I guess it's probably a series. Not sure how long. We'll see. And then the third book is called Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. So that's exciting too. I wonder if all of them will involve fairies. I'm guessing there will be. Or maybe some other supernatural beings, possibly. Super good. I love the writing style. You really get to know how Emily just cares so much about her studies, and she has great knowledge of Fae folk with some of the little footnotes that are present within the book, which is really nice. I like reading. I love little extra things like footnotes, and they actually relate to the story as well. So those are always nice to read about. But yeah, oh my gosh, this is the end. I can get out of these slides. Oh wait, I forgot to put my rating for this. I feel like it's pretty obvious, but it's a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I love this book. I can't wait to continue this series. Let me go back to my just chatting screen. Oh, the author for the Hacienda is Isabel Cañas. You can see it. You can see it in the VOD later, and you can see it on my story graph too if you want to check it out. I definitely want to read more of her books as well too. She has a couple other books. I believe they all have something to do with, like, I think I might be wrong. Supernatural. There's one she wrote about vampires. I'm not sure if I want to read that one yet, but I'll keep it on the back burner. Whoa, that's really cool. He used to produce audiobooks. Whoa, that's super cool. Yeah, it's definitely a skill. I like when audiobook narrators, they just put their all into the narration. That it's basically just straight up voice acting, which I believe is just amazing. Yeah, Stranger Diaries. I'm really glad this was my introduction to audiobooks. It's so good. Yes, horror store. Yes, it's a haunted Swedish IKEA store. Basically, it's a parody of that. Orsk. Yes, I really love another lady that I would really recommend. Maybe it's not specifically Mexican, set in Mexico, but what's her name? She's a favorite. Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She's also a big fan. She's like a comfort. It's funny because she writes a lot of horror, but she's like a comfort. Not a comfort read. Her books. She's like a auto-buy author for me. It feels weird to say how it's like comfy to read, but like I really like her books. Give me that kind of vibe, even though she mostly writes like dark and horror based stuff, which is funny to say. Yes. Too easy to pirate. You better be careful. Hopefully nobody sees that as like but yeah, do what you gotta do if you wanna pirate and stuff. For a bonus thing, I wanted to talk about a book that I recently read. Actually, I don't want to talk about it much. I'll just probably tell people to refer to the what is it? To this VOD. I'll just quickly talk about this because it was disappointing. I really was excited to read this book, and then when I finished it, I was just like so disappointed. I finished this February 2nd, so that was this Friday. It's Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. And basically we follow Tsukiko, who is 38, and she reunites with her high school teacher. And then the core of the story is them like getting to know each other and stuff, but it's just kind of awkward because they also get into like a romantic relationship. It's not really a spoiler to say. The middle end, near the middle and close to the end of the book, they get into a romantic relationship, which is just awkward. But yeah, it's like a slice of life literary fiction kind of novel, and she even just even though she knows her teacher's name, she just refers to him as sensei, teacher, which is that is awkward. It's awkward to say the least. It was I thought it was just me, but in the beginning there was something that happened that made me feel it just had a creepy vibe. It was creepy. There was like I was like, why did this happen? And I was like, does anybody else feel like this too? For this section, they mostly talked about another section that happened that also made me uncomfortable. It was something that happened when they took a trip together to an island. And then I was just like, okay, why was it written like this? This part was written so weirdly and so uncomfortable. It was just, it just gave me a very huge ick. But basically, they reunite, they get to know each other, and they mostly just like meet each other coincidentally at their like favorite local bar, order food, drink, just talk, spend time with each other. And Tsukiko meets there's some other like minor characters you meet as well. But yeah, the center of it all is Tsukiko and her teacher, and yeah, I was not rooting for them, to say the least. I was kind of hoping for her to be with another character, but it was pretty obvious by the way the author wrote the parts with the other character that they just weren't going to end up together, basically. But yeah, I was expecting it to also be like have like magical realism, because like the cover is like super misleading, because it's a young lady who is floating in the air in a bar, and like there's like one instance of something sort of like magical that happens, but like then everything else is just like set in the real world, so that's weird. I don't know. They should redesign the cover to make it look more slice of lifey, I suppose. I would not really recommend this book, but I mean, if you like, I think really the only thing I liked the most was when the author talked about the food and drink that the two main characters had, and like I like some of the simple but detailed descriptions of like locations the characters were in. That was nice. The pacing was kind of awkward, very stunted and weird. It, I know it was like, of course it was supposed to be a slice of life, but like every time a chapter ended, it just felt really weird. It was just like the author just didn't want to continue writing the chapter anymore, so she just wrapped it all up in a awkward ribbon, and she was like, alright, the chapter's done, moving on to the next one. And I'm just like, okay. The pacing was weird, the style is a little odd. I suppose it's like kind of cold and like a little bit clinical and detached, but not in really like the charming but like interesting way that, like, I guess, like, for example, Camp Zero was like written, if I had to put like a comparison. Although I can't really compare those two because they both belong in two different separate genres. But that's like something where like a cold, clinical kind of writing style would be more suitable. But like for a slice of life book, it's certainly a choice. And I mean, it doesn't have to be warm. It was not a warm story. It was pretty sad and reflective, kind of slow-paced, bittersweet, just leaves you feeling sort of confused and sad by the end of it. Yeah, it just kind of ends like, bam, just ends. Like the awkward ribbon wrapping analogy I was trying to make. It just kind of ends like that. Just a little, like, few bittersweet, poignant words, and then the story just ends. I won't give any spoilers to what happens at the end, but I feel like it's pretty obvious. You kind of know what happens by the end of some of the stuff that happens right before the story closes. But yeah, I just gave this book a 3, just a clear 3 out of 5 stars. I will just briefly summarize it when I do my monthly wrap up, whenever I get around to it. But yeah, that's about it. I wanted to do like a section where I like talked about like what I listened to and like a little media like catch-up session, but it's getting a little bit late where I live, so I should probably just close it off. Music, I think I wrote it down. What I listen to for music? I listened to Madion's song All Your Love featuring, what was the artist? I need to go on my Spotify really quick. Let's see. All Your Love with Wave Dash, Madion, and Toro y Moi. That's a song I've been looping. And Giga's song Beyond the Way. Podcasts, I've been listening to the Magnus Archives, Off Menu, and Podwatcher. And for video games, I've just only been catching up with FF14 with all the new extra stuff that they have for updates. Looking forward to the Valentine update when that comes around next week. Next week. Movies, no. Shows, no. Videos, I only really watch YouTube videos in my free time. Most of it is booktubers, vtubers, and cooking videos and other hobby stuff. Yeah. New series, like companion series for the Magnus Archives called the Magnus Protocol. That is really exciting. I'll just quickly gush about that for a few seconds. I was just automatically excited for the new series. I didn't even feel like cautious. I just know because the writers just do such a great job. The creators just do a super great job with the writing. I just know it's gonna be awesome, and it was. How many episodes were there? Let me check. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, my voice. Oh my goodness. Okay, there are 4 episodes so far. I think the 4th one has been my least favorite so far. But I still enjoyed it in its own way, of course. Really good. I love the new cast of characters. Really interested. I might talk about this more on a more... Excuse me. Like, talking about media, like... Very curious as to the... Who Gwen Bouchard. Is she Elias's kid or grandkid? That's really weird. I saw her last name and I was like, are you related to him? I think my favorite 2 characters would be Alice and Sam. They really stand out within the new cast. I love the sort of more modern take with the protocol, with the sound design and stuff. I think you're supposed to be imagining the audio coming from security cameras, I think. And either you imagine them coming like a sound only security camera or a screen with the audio as well. Really cool. At least that's what I think. Can't wait to find out what else happens in this series. That's all I'm gonna say for that. It's really good. I knew I was going to enjoy it. I didn't even know. I kept forgetting. Even when I like checked the feed and stuff, I would like forget like, oh, there's a new series coming on. So I just like quickly like, I didn't even finish the last episode for the Magnus Archives. I was just so stressed out by it. But then I was just like, I really want to catch up to the Magnus Protocol. So I just finished that and finished all the extra stuff that they put into the feed, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the interviews, especially with the creators and the sound editors and audio engineers and everything. That was cool. I love hearing about their thoughts on their creative process and editing and stuff. That's always awesome to, oh my gosh, sorry, to hear about. Jeez. But yeah, thank you for staying. For anyone who decided to check out the stream here, I know there was a lot of scuff, but I hope you were able to still enjoy the stream. I'm sorry that my voice sounds a little bit off today. I try to do my best to hydrate more for these kinds of streams in the future, so sorry for that. Please forgive me. Yeah, thank you. Let me know what you think of all the books that I read. And yeah, my socials are in the description below. I will probably be editing some parts out, so the VOD will be down for a bit, but hopefully it'll be up in a bit soon. Please take care. I hope you have a good day or night, wherever you may be in this big, big world. And yeah. Eureka Foresight, signing off. Bye-bye!